Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, this is going to be an awesome episode with my brother James. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff. We're going to be talking about NLP. We're going to be talking about mindset. We're going to be talking about fitness, supplements, tea, personal development. We're going to be everywhere. But I guarantee you, if you stay till the end of this, we're going to give you three things that you can start doing today to improve your life physically and mentally. And my brother James, he's awesome. He's a veteran, CEO. He's the Swiss Army knife of positivity. I'm so glad I got to hang out with him, and I'm so grateful that we finally got together. James, my brother, what's shaking?
Not much, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, come on, man. I get to hang out with you and talk about extreme resilience. I love it because that's some of the things we're going to talk about. I love talking about resiliency. I love talking about veterans. I love talking about supplements. So for me, it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you. I think it'll be very interesting.
I love it. Okay, so first question, because I do have a traumatic brain injury. If I don't ask the question, I will forget. What is your definition of resiliency?
So, as you know from our conversation, I built a course teaching resilience, mental, physical, spiritual, and environmental resilience. All things, kind of focusing on what we have control over. And while doing my research for the program, I wanted to answer that question better myself. Like, what is resilience? And it's sort of a complicated answer. There's a lot of variety and definition of what it means to be resilient, and it seems that largely that's dependent on geographical location, what culture you're in. Because resilience means something different for an inner city kid, that's in poverty versus indigenous tribal peoples, different races and cultures. So the best that I could come up with, and this is actually uh, quoted definition from a science journal on resilience, and it is that resilience is a process of negotiating, managing, and adapting to significant sources of stress or trauma. Assets and resources within the individual, their life and environment facilitate this capacity for adaptation and bouncing back in the face of adversity. Across the life course, the experience of resilience will vary, which I think is kind of an important thing to note because often, I don't know about you, but maybe some of your listeners can relate that, like I'm very like hard on myself, quick to, chastise myself for not doing enough. So, the fact that the experience of resilience will vary, I think is true for most of us. Sometimes we're super solid, can bounce back from things. There may be different contexts with which resilience, when you're talking about resilience in relationships, going through things like that. Sometimes that might be more difficult for us than being resilient in the face of adversity when it comes to, entrepreneurship, for example.
And one thing for me, resilience, it's not a flat line. For me, it goes up, down. I could be high at one moment, the next moment I could be down. I could be at the top of my game and then struggle with imposter syndrome the next minute. So I think a lot of people think it's linear, where it's not. It's up and down. So and a lot of people don't give themselves enough grace to realize, you're not going to feel this way all day. You may just feel it for a few minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I
So give
think
us.
another thing that was pretty significant that came from my research into resilience was the fact that, it's our connection to each other that I think has probably the highest impact on our resilience. our greatest strength comes from human connection. Without that connection to each other, whether that be through past struggles, like I think the veteran community can probably really relate to that. We can see, somebody else wearing a t-shirt or hat that, indicates that they were in Marine Corps, Army, or whatever. And immediately we're like, hey, what's up? And we can just like go into deep conversations, be extremely vulnerable with those people because we have that shared struggle, right? So I think that that's an important thing to discuss when you have a conversation about resilience, about how important that aspect of it is.
And you know what? And I'm sure we're gonna go there. I think I'm up to like almost 1,300 episodes. Um, various Navy SEALs, Delta, Rangers, snipers, even regular Army cooks. They all say that it's the fire team that makes them successful or fail. And for me, even in the world of the entrepreneurial world, even if you talk to people like Tim Ferriss, uh, Ed Milet, Gary Vee, they always talk about the 5 people you hang out with the most. And I think that has to do with resiliency. If you're hanging out with people that are resilient, people that are pushing forward, you're going to be the sixth one. But if you hang around with a lot of people that are always down and out and they're just trying to wallow in their pity, you're going to be the sixth one. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%. I tell my daughter that all the time. Yeah, I absolutely believe that. And I think I've experienced that as well. And like I said, that's one of to me, that's part of the environmental aspect of, this whole holistic approach to achieving resilience is curating your environment and, absolutely the people that you're spending time with, for sure.
All right, so let's hop in the Wayback Machine. Tell us a little bit about where you come from. Where'd you grow up? Now, I'm a big Kentucky guy. I love Kentucky. I actually graduated from Fort Knox back in 1986, so I'm a big Kentucky guy. So, talk to us about where you come from, where'd you grow up, and then how did you get interested in joining the military?
Sure. So I grew up in Northwest Ohio in a small town called Findlay.
Yep, know very well.
Yeah, Flag City, USA.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
yeah, it's a pretty boring town. I grew up like most kids in the early 90s, riding my bike, um, playing baseball, and, just running around with neighbor kids. I went to a private school up until 6th grade. So in my earlier years, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I spent a lot of time by myself, um, you know, playing Army. My grandfather was actually a veteran of the Korean War, and he worked on B-29 bombers during the war, and pretty much from like an early age was sort of grooming me for military service. Although he would have liked to see me become a pilot, and I was very interested in becoming a fighter pilot. I thought I was either going to be a fighter pilot or a professional baseball player when I was a kid. And what eventually caused me to go into the Army and into Ranger Regiment was because my uncle rather was a huge fan of the Rangers. He showed me this book about them. He thought they were super cool. Well, he died when I was 14, so I guess I felt this desire to sort of honor his existence by going off into Ranger Regiment. I felt like it was probably a little bit more suitable for the type of kid I was. Um, I don't know that I really truly believed in myself much then. My childhood was not perfect. Um, there was a little bit of some adverse childhood experiences that went along there. So, going into Ranger Regiment just seemed, more suitable for me anyways. And yeah.
All right, so I've had, like I said earlier, I've had Navy SEALs, Delta, Rangers, Berets, and there's one question I always ask any one of them that became elite. Um, I always ask, why did you make it? And the reason why I want to ask that is because there's a certain mindset that most guys that I've talked to that have become elite, no matter what it is in business or in the military, is they just had that I'm going to die, but I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to ring the bell. I'm not going to quit. So it's either you're going to kill me or I'm going to pass this. So talk to us about what it takes to make it through qual school, become a sniper. What kind of mindset does it take? And I'm sure that when you were going through, out of 100 guys, maybe only 12 or 15 actually made it. So what's the difference between the ones that made it and the ones that didn't make it? And we're not disparaging anybody, but I know there is a type of mindset to make somebody that's going to be elite become elite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you nailed it on the head, Richard. While you were talking, I'm like, just don't quit. That was never an option for me, and when I say that, I literally mean like that never really registered in my head. That wasn't a road that I could take because it didn't exist in my mind. It didn't really matter how difficult things were. I just wasn't going to quit. So it was just, kind of biding my time. I think probably the thing that I got the most out of the military really was getting plenty of opportunities to have to overcome those mental limitations, and you're hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit on, a 10-mile run that's at a 7-minute mile pace. There's definitely moments where you're like, I don't know if I can keep going at this pace, but everybody else is, so I'm not going to stop or slow down. And when you push yourself like that over and over and over again, then eventually that sound in the back of your head becomes meaningless. You know better that you can just keep pushing through that hard moment. It eventually will end. And within seconds or minutes, you're fine. So I think that was really the only thing that is required to get you through, that hard training. I mean, you have to be physically fit as well, but that matters less than your ability to push through your own mental limitations.
But one thing I love about, especially you guys, snipers, and I love both ends of the spectrum because some of my best friends are EOD guys, and then some of my great best friends are sniper guys, and it's like two opposite ends of the total spectrum. But it's amazing how, because I've talked to a couple of the sniper guys, and a lot of them say, I grew up as an ADHD guy, and I'm like, so how did you make it being a sniper with ADHD? And he's like, well, we had to retrain our mind and to sometimes put our mind into other places. Like for me growing up, I grew up in an abused household. So for me, my solace was books and I've read over 6,000 now, but I was able to go into different places in my mind. And even like if my wife says, all right, we got to go somewhere and sit for 4 or 5 hours. Are you good? I'm like, I can set my mind and I can put my mind somewhere else for that 4 or 5 hours. So talk about that part of the sniper process is, a lot of people see the movies, but they don't realize sometimes you're there for 3, 4, 5 days just trying to make a shot. So what does that tricks as a play on the mind?
Yeah, I mean, I know lots of other snipers or professions similar, or people say like everybody wants to be a sniper till it's time to start doing sniper shit. Because
Yeah.
you know, it's sexy on TV, but you know, you are carrying a lot of weight. You know, aside from, you know, your body armor, which weighs around 70 pounds. Typically, you'll be carrying a ruck full of ammo, batteries, water being a significant portion of that weight, depending on what time of year it is. So, you know, you could very well be carrying around an extra 130 pounds on your back for, you know, pretty long ways. And then, you know, get to where you're going to put up your sniper hide sight. And then, you know, obviously still need to be able to function. So it's pretty physically demanding. But, you know, for me, what I loved about the job was I think I was always in pursuit of more professionalism and autonomy in the military, you know, being able to make those sort of operational decisions, you know, planning sniper missions and things like that. I received a lot of advanced training in the military and courses outside of the military in, you know, long range precision shooting, mission planning, tactics and stuff like that. And so I loved it. You know, I love that I could, you know, just have a conversation with company commanders, battalion commanders, go to intelligence briefs, and then be able to communicate effectively how I could help, you know, achieve their battlefield objectives. You know, all we really needed was intent. You know, there was things that we could do that would honestly save lives by being able to put eyes on certain areas of the battlefield to confirm or deny, you know, people that are there, you know, prevent IED emplacement, things like that. So it was a lot more attractive to me to be in a combat zone where I'm riding vehicles a lot less. You know, like, hey, just drop me off over here. I'm fine. I'll walk, you know. So avoiding, you know, the risk of being blown up. And, you know, I cared very deeply for my men. I was very young as a sniper team leader. And, you know, I think that, well, I know that the most important thing to me was making sure that those guys got home safely. So, you know, I spent hours and hours planning those missions, you know, examining maps, predator feed, you know, anything that I could to really mitigate as much risk as I could while still being battlefield effective.
All right. So let me ask, you know, because the people that watch my show know that the reason I wear this hat, and not because I'm going bald, I do it in honor of Chris Kyle. And I actually reached out to Chris's wife and I said, I want you to know that from now on, any show or any podcast or stage I step on, I'm going to wear a hat in honor of Chris, because I know he always wore a hat, and that he gave his life for helping people with PTSD. So I just want to say that, you know, that's why I wear this hat. And I've been invited to go on some stages with people like Russell Brunson, Ed Milet, and they're like, you can't be wearing a hat. And I'm like, well, I guess I can't be showing up because I promised I honor Chris. So I just wanted to say that. But now I'm going to ask you, and of course, there's no OPSEC. I don't want to. There's no I got you questions. But has there ever been a shot that you wish you would have taken, or that you wish you would not have taken? No OPSEC. No OPSEC issues. I promise you. That's not what we're. That's not.
No,
I
honestly, no.
Because
We
I think.
were extremely ethical, and we were there.
Well, the only reason I ask, because I think in life we are the decisions that we make, and whether it's in personal life, whether it's in the military or in business, what decisions I make right now hanging out with you are going to impact me 5 years from now, right?
Yeah.
So you were taught to make good and right decisions, right?
Right. Yeah. Now I think the only shots that I regret not taking are the ones that I never had an opportunity to take in the first place. And what I mean by that is, seeing how different missions or operations played out where, we could have, done some sort of like sniper initiated assault after getting eyes on the objective, or just having eyes on an area before teams went in. Um, the primary and secondary mission of a sniper to engage all targets and targets of opportunity. So I think we did the best that we could.
Okay. So now let me ask you, because I don't get into the whole war story thing. I leave that for my buddy Jocko. I don't talk about that part of it. But how many years did you put in? And did you get hurt? Did you get jacked up to get the PTSD? And how was your transitioning out of the military life?
So I did 8 years of active service. I spent the last 3 years working at sniper school at Fort Benning, Georgia. I don't know what do they call it now? I can't remember.
I don't even remember now. They're always changing names and acronyms, so I can't keep up.
Always be home in the infantry for me. So yeah, I did 8 years active service. As far as injuries go, I never was shot. I got blown up one time. Nothing really that serious. I had several superficial injuries and some pretty good hearing loss from my time in service. But, really, like I said, like a lot of other veterans, definitely struggled with a little bit of PTSD and TBI after getting out of the military. And it took me about, I don't know, 6+ years to go through shit. I mean, I'm still not completely out of the woods. Sometimes I have some darker moments, but now the difference is I have the tools and resources that I need to work through those without it snowballing into something worse.
Well, the reason why I asked that, because like one of my friend Sergeant Nick talks about, is that once we step off base, the military doesn't give a shit about us. Our phone stops ringing. Most of us don't get a paycheck because we didn't put in, whatever, 20 years. We don't have a mission and we don't have the camaraderie. And a lot of us end up looking at the bottom of a bottle or at the end of a barrel. And I think that's where we come together. We're trying to eliminate that and help people transitioning out of the military. Now, when you got out, did you think, hey, I'm a Ranger sniper. The world's going to open up to me when I get out. And what was it like when you got out? Did the world open up to you?
I don't know. It's hard to say, honestly. Pretty quickly after getting out of the military, went through a divorce. I was married for 10 years. And, so that relationship was ending while I was in college full time, doing research. And I couldn't really relate to most people, I see a lot of other veterans kind of struggle with that when they first get out. It seems like everybody's a pussy, like there's no sort of like personal accountability present in the majority of people that you're around. It seems, And it can be a little frustrating getting out. I think that the world was open to me. I just wasn't open to it, if that makes any sense. You know, I was too busy looking for reasons why I couldn't assimilate appropriately than I was looking to seize that opportunity. Because I was trying to, you know, basically push a round peg through a square hole. You know, at least that's what it felt like. You know, I was using this sort of mentality going through life with this mentality that just really was not matured, I guess, enough to understand how to fit in, or really just not be so concerned with trying to relate to people, but more so embracing who I was, and you know, and really just channeling that into and figuring out who my people were, you know, stuff like that. So I think it just takes time, you know, to find those people that are like-minded, driven, you know, whatever it is that you're into, and find your tribe.
And the thing is, you know, like we're part of the 1% trying to fit into the 99%. And we're, you know, even if you just served, if you made it through basic training, you're in the top 1% in the whole United States of America. So we don't really think, we think we're supposed to conform to their way. Where for us, like I was talking to somebody, I said, if you're in a company and you put 10 veterans in a room and say, listen, this problem needs to be solved, and nobody leaves until it gets solved, that shit's going to get solved. And I think that that's something that veterans do. We know to say, okay, we need to figure out a problem. We'll figure out the problem first, and then we'll draw up the plans later. You know, and a lot of us, you know, like we would go to a job and we would get there early, get to work quick, work through lunch, work through breaks, stay late, and then everybody else is, you know, oh, it's 4 o'clock. I'm out of here. And you're like, what? What do you mean I'm out of here? We still got work to do. So I know it's very hard to assimilate. Did you find parts of that problems with jobs and everything?
Sort of. I've kind of been involved in a lot of different startups since I've been out. Everything from I think the first startup I was really involved with was teaching people to shoot. I became director of training, had 11 or 12 instructors that worked underneath me, teaching everything from basic handgun to precision rifle courses, night pistol, tactical carbine, things like that. And then worked with a company called Advanced American Technology, helping them develop advanced epoxy resin systems for ballistic shielding, radiation shielding, automotive industry, stuff like that. And then, you know, my own startups, you know, installing regenerative agriculture systems. So I haven't had a lot of regular jobs working for other people since I've been out. I've tried to stay away from that. I really don't like being told what to do. It's just something I know about myself. I don't know if that's an artifact of being in the military or what, but you know, I think one of the things that really helped me stop feeling so lost was when I realized that I needed some sort of meaningful task and purpose to be working on, you know, and because that was what the military provided for me, right? And once I figured out how to do that, and you know, and it became basically something that was very near and dear to my own heart, which is helping other veterans. Because I think that it's just awful that these awesome guys that serve their country, end up on this path of self-destruction and suicide. I know several of them personally that are gone now or still struggling. So, that was something I felt like I was figuring out and, wanted to work towards. And then also in that process, developed the skills and knowledge to not only help veterans, but really anybody that's struggling with physical health from chronic inflammatory disease or mental health. So that became, this meaningful task and purpose for me, is to work on that. And, even the last business that I had, called Appalachian Grit, installing edible landscapes and permaculture, regenerative agriculture systems, just trying to break down and remove barriers to entry to have food production systems like that, and help to repair people's relationship with food. I've been trying to work on all of those things for several years, and I love it, and this project that I'm working on right now is sort of all encompassing of everything that I've learned. And, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep pushing to figure it out, figure it out for myself, to experience some sort of entrepreneurial success and have the impact on as many people as I can, and just keep doing that until I can't anymore.
And I think that's why I decided to take the military and the entrepreneurial space and put them together, because I found out that if a veteran or first responder has a mission again, they're much less likely to take their own lives if they have a mission. And entrepreneurship is probably one of the greatest missions you can have, because it's all about the hustle, the grind, the mindset, the never give up, the never quit, to work 80 hours so you don't have to work 40 hours for somebody else. So that's why I started this podcast. So that's the whole reason I do what I do. But I also, I'm in a lot of groups with veterans, entrepreneurs, and a lot of us, when we get out of the military and we want to start a company, we kind of forget that even if you were in the military for 7 hours, we were taught how to have an SOP. We were taught how to do a 9-line. We're taught how to, in an entrepreneurial space, write a business plan. So what positives have you taken from the military that you've applied to entrepreneurship?
Well, one thing I was thinking about while you were just talking is, that made me think of this phrase that I coined that I call oxytocin mediated grit. And basically what that means is that when you are working on something that is purposeful and meaningful, and it's tied to the performance and well-being of people that you love and care about, like say in a team, when your performance doesn't only affect you, but it affects the whole team or affects other people, it does cause you to work harder, right? It's like being a leader. When you become a leader in the military, first you had to be able to like have your own shit together, but now you have to extra have your shit together. Wake up a little bit early, PT yourself harder, so that way you can PT your men the way that you should and need to. And so I think, I don't know, I think about that a lot. And I like to sort of connect my purpose with this, something that's much greater than myself, which is the veteran community, or anybody that's, needs support in a tribe.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because now we're gonna move over into personal development, which I love. I have some great mentors: Ed Milet, Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins, and I love talking about NLP and personal development. But and I'm a big LinkedIn guy. I think I have almost 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I put out a post the other day and I said, isn't it interesting that the top paid CEOs in this country, or in the world actually, they read up to 60 books a year. And the average American does not pick up one book a year.
Yeah.
But the average CEO's salary is up to 50 times the average worker. So is there some kind of correlation between learners are earners and readers are leaders?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think so. I think the insatiable thirst for knowledge and also the belief in yourself that you can learn and do literally whatever you want. It kind of goes back to the mental limitations, right? Like it can be challenging or scary to start a business or dive into something that you're unfamiliar with. Like for example, doing video content on the internet, being in front of a camera, and being nervous or awkward about that. That's just one challenge that you have to overcome. Learning how to edit videos. There's a lot of things that I was telling you when we first started talking. I was building financial projections for this beverage that I'm launching, and I'm not an Excel wizard or CPA. So there's a lot of stuff that I had to kind of slug through it for a little while, and it was frustrating because usually, a lot of things just are easier for me. But I think that when you stay curious and you don't have that mental block that you're incapable of achieving that goal, then you just kind of go with that, right? You just read, learn, figure out how to do whatever you need to do, and you don't make any excuses like, well, I don't know how to do that, or this is a problem, this is a hard stop because I can't figure that out. I think that's probably, that's a big reason I only read nonfiction. Anything that's going to help make me better.
Yep.
Everything from, I'm in the middle of 4 books right now. The Right It, E-Myth Mastery,
Yep.
Marketing Superpowers, Gabor Mate's The Myth of Normal. Yeah, I'm in the middle of all those right now.
Now, I have a lot of people and I hear a lot from veterans. Well, I'm getting out of the military, so I can't afford to go to college. I tell them LinkedIn Premium is free for 1 year for every veteran. And
What is it?
It's called LinkedIn Premium.
Oh,
if you
okay.
sign up, it's free. You can take as many college courses as you want for free, and they automatically add it to your resume on LinkedIn. So all you have to do is get verified, and you can go to college for free for 1 whole year. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you're a veteran, you get LinkedIn Premium for free. I'm actually in the middle of taking 3 different courses right now because I want to get better. I don't know about accounting. I don't know about, the back end of business. So that's why I'm still taking courses, and I don't want to quit learning. Why should I pay my accountant all this money if I could take courses to learn what he already knows for free? For free.
Exactly. And when I was in college studying molecular biology and biochem, I was, up to a certain point killing it. Dean's List, had my own PhD level research project studying DNA methyltransferase associated proteins in a plant pathogen. And, and I went through what I went through. and ultimately ended up dropping out of college because, I was struggling to even show up to class and destroying my GPA, wasting GI Bill money. And I haven't finished. And sometimes I regret that. But the fact is, like, I've been doing startup stuff and entrepreneurship long enough to know that I really don't need to go to college. It'd be more, to me, almost a waste of time for me to go to college full time to work towards a degree. Now, I think taking classes online is awesome, if you need to learn a skill. But that's just kind of, I've thought about going to medical school multiple times. I'm super interested in, like I said, functional medicine and psychiatry. But, when I think of what way the time that I would spend doing that versus, working to launch a business that I can still help people, and maybe even a more so a meaningful way. Because right now I don't have to answer to insurance companies to, help people out. So,
and but like a lot of people, I tell everybody, I listen to Audible. I think I'm paying $15 a month. So you can get Audible for $15 a month, LinkedIn for free, YouTube is free. You can pretty much learn everything you want to learn. You just have to put in the reps, like Ed Milet talks about in his new book. You just have to do one more rep to learn whatever you want to learn. It just takes a self-discipline to sit down and block out those hours to take those courses and to learn what you need to learn, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever is required.
So let's talk to us. Talk to us about how you got. Talk to us about your 90-day your course, personal development, because I'm a big personal development guy. I love it. I could talk about stuff like that, NLP. I could talk about the RAS system. I love talking about all that shit. So talk about your 90-day self-development program.
All right. So thanks for asking. Personally, which I might be a little bit biased, I think it's the most comprehensive personal development plan that exists. I looked at a lot of other ones, tried to find, look at like seeking validation, like, am I on the right track? I haven't found anything that is as complete as what we've put together. And so I built this program. It's called Sharpen Your Axe, with my business partner, Chris Call, who I met at a business incubator in Kansas City. And basically it works through 3 phases, going over mental, physical, spiritual, and environmental resilience. And, within that, we kind of start off by going over mental toughness, cultivating self-discipline, teaching some Stoic philosophy and character development. And then, introduction to sort of the physical resilience realm. We're mostly talking about things that we put in our body and how much we move our body. And I'm also a chef. So one of my favorite things to do is to prepare super healthy, nutrient meals for my family and friends that absolutely do not compromise on health, as far as I understand it, by like preventing any kind of inflammation, gut barrier dysfunction, nurturing the gut microbiome, understanding how to build super nutrient dense meals by adding like dried mushroom powders to stir fries, nutritional yeast, using lots of spices and fresh herbs, root vegetables, cruciferous vegetables. So I teach all that stuff in there. I also have a cooking theory. It's called Whatever's in the Fridge, where you buy Whole Foods. That's all that's in the house. I've got bonuses in there that teach you how to do a kitchen detox, because willpower will only get you so far. How to set up your pantry for success, so you can take the same 5 random ingredients and go anywhere in the world with it without a recipe. I think that's a really super important component of the program because, really nobody, I don't think very much, like most people understand that we should eat mostly fruits and vegetables, clean sources of meat, and significantly reduce sources of ultra processed food, processed carbohydrates, sugars, fried foods, and certain oils that cause inflammation, right? But even though most people probably know how to eat well, they don't. And so that's kind of why I have a strong emphasis on, kind of helping repair people's relationship with food and their relationship with their kitchen. What kind of teaching them about what kind of kitchen tools make eating healthy a sustainable endeavor. So we're not falling on and off the health wagon, and enjoyable, and realistic, as far as time savings and stuff like that. Um, Throughout the 90-day program, I also have the sort of path of healing the body by uh, adjusting the way that we eat throughout the program, starting with, and I tried to make this as least challenging as possible while still being effective, because I understand that behavior change is really difficult unless you've got a drill sergeant kicking your door in, waking you up and making you do all the things every day. It can be really difficult to adhere to and remain compliant to a strict thing and changing lots of things at once. So it starts off with a sort of condensed, like 10-day elimination diet, removing any kind of known food allergens or things that can cause inflammation or irritation to the gut. And then going from that into sort of a fasting mimicking diet where it's, I don't know if you've heard of the fasting mimicking diet. It was developed by Dr. Walter Longo.
Yep.
Sort of a way to approach fasting for people. It was initially developed for cancer patients that were struggling with adhering to that, to help, prevent tumor growth. So I start them on some fasting and mimicking diet, and then encourage playing around with intuitive fasting, getting to, trying out the, OMAD, like one meal a day, or eating in a 4 or 6 hour eating window, and staying with that, continuing to eliminate, inflammatory foods. I do a gut detox protocol with them. A lot of people have candida yeast overgrowth going on in their gut. So I've got a nice protocol that I learned from this guy, actually, Alberto Villoldo, in his book, Grow a New Body.
Yep.
Awesome. This is also an awesome book for trauma healing. But that protocol is in there. And then we talk about one of the modules I have is about leveraging our network, which mostly consists of understanding ourselves and our attachment styles and the way that we relate to other people, how to actually provide meaningful support to other people, and why, your network is such an important part of being resilient. After that, I get into, some concepts of spiritual resilience, which is really our connection to ourself, like understanding what it means to be self-aware, understand the difference between our ego, our bodies, and our true, authentic, genuine self. Teaching also tools, to develop all these skills. Each module in the program, which there's 9, has extensive worksheets and practical applications and exercises for people to work on these things. I've got a section on trauma healing that teaches kind of a mixture of the soul retrieval stuff and then some cognitive behavioral therapy concepts, and some worksheets to work through that. And then beyond that, it kind of gets a little bit more advanced, going over mental models, how to do effective mental visualization, mental imagery exercises, sort of manifest the the life that we want to.
Say that again, because talk about manifestation, and I'm going to tell you a story. Once you tell me about manifestation, I'm going to tell people a story that's going to knock their socks off. So talk about, because I love, I started Think and Grow Rich, and then I'm like, well, where did he learn that from? So I went back to the Carnegie brothers, and something that they said is how your obsessions become your possessions, and then how you use your RAS will get you whatever you constantly think about. So talk about how important manifestation is.
Well, it is important because it's I think for a couple reasons. One is sort of being able to envision ourselves being becoming the person that we want to be. Because the universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. And so if you have this sort of like loose visualization or imagination about what it is that you could become, or say, for example, in a relationship, if you're a single person and you've had, tragic relationship experiences, and you really are looking for finding somebody that would be an excellent partner for you. If you just think about what they look like only, you might get somebody that looks like that, but they're also not somebody that you should be with, right? And part of the visualization process is like visualizing your path to achieving those goals as well. You can't really achieve goals without having a plan. And sometimes, visualizing that stuff helps you to see things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise, or be able to come up with effective strategies to overcome challenges that you'll face along the way, things that might be difficult for you to work through, coming up with and visualizing plans to do that. I think it also helps give you some confidence, as you go through that, and just trying to attract those sort of opportunities into your reality, basically. I don't know. I mean, I'm not some sort of like metaphysical wizard or anything. I've read a lot of books about those kinds of things. I think at the end of the day, it's just really connecting to that energy that you're trying to put out there. You want to achieve these goals, whatever they are. Trying to, sort of connect to that by visualizing it and, planning for it as much as possible, I think is about as much as I can say about it off the top of my head right now.
But, don't you think, like, and my story is on my vision board for the last 10 years, I have a picture of Atlantis in the Bahamas. It's been on my vision board for 10 years now. Last year, my wife says, guess what? I just bought us a cruise, and guess where we're going? We're going to Atlantis. Nice. Now that would be nice, but now my wife's biggest fear is water. So just for her to say, all right, we're going to Atlantis, became because she's seen that vision board every day, and I've talked about it. And then when we're going down there, I already have it booked because I want a beach house. So we're actually going to go tour some beach houses so I can touch some of the beach houses, smell the beach houses, and we're going on a boat ride because I always wanted a pontoon boat. So we're going on a boat ride, but now these pictures I've had on my phone screen for the last 8 years. So I believe that whatever you think about, you become, and if you put emotion behind it, you will be much more likely to succeed. Like one of my clients, he wanted a Lambo, and I'm like, so why don't you have a Lambo? He's like, I don't know. So we went. He actually test drove it. Lambo, the highest end Lambo you can got. He test drove it. He smelled it. 6 months later, that Lambo was sitting in his garage because he said, "You know what? I have emotion. Every time I went to work, I could smell the leather. I'm emotionally involved in it." So I think not only do you have to do the work, but I think in order to succeed, you have to become emotionally involved. Or when times get tough, you're not going to do that one extra rep because you're not really emotionally involved. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about, because in the last couple of minutes, I want to talk about this because I think I'm a big supplement geek. I have my own coffee, and you guys can get it on my website. I was with GNC for 30 years, and I love supplements, and I love tea, by the way. I'm a big tea, so I want to be your first customer. When you get it, I want to be the first customer to have it. So talk about what's coming up in the future for you.
Right. So I'm in the formulation stage right now of crafting a functional tea beverage that will be on shelves, available online as well. I'm putting it in a aluminum refillable, reusable, recyclable bottle, and um, it'll be all organic. I'm also pushing hard for it to be alkaline. I think it'll be really the first alkaline, ready to drink tea beverage out there. I've got a lot of pushback. It's like trying to navigate the co-manufacturing space with creating a beverage, and what the capabilities are of these manufacturers, how they pasteurize or sterilize the beverages, is a lot of stuff to navigate. But the goal is for it to be an alkaline, organic tea that will have added fulvic acid and trace minerals in it. And, as far as I'm aware, there's not a lot of beverages out there that have the fulvic acid in there. But it's extremely potent in terms of its ability to enhance your cell's ability to hydrate. The humic and fulvic acids are great at binding to toxins and helping you eliminate those. They also, interestingly enough, humic and fulvic acid basically are the furthest metabolic breakdown components of organic matter. And it just so happens that the fulvic and humic acids, which there's, an array of these, polyphenolic compounds, flavones, vanillic acid, all these different things are not only serve as antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, but they also substantially feed and nurture microbes. So farmers know this. Because you can make compost tea that is rich in humic and fulvic acid, and at very low doses, spray this into the soil and see soil fungal communities expand exponentially. Well, this is one of the reasons why it's so great for our guts, because it becomes sort of this prebiotic compound that allows, healthy gut flora to thrive in our guts. And, if you're, super knowledgeable about health, it's hard to have not heard how important that is for maintaining health throughout our entire bodies. The primary gateway for inflammation in our bodies is through the tube that goes through us. When it becomes permeable, we have chronic systemic inflammation damaging our cardiovascular systems. And what I like to say is, if your body is inflamed, so is your brain. And an inflamed brain is very much less resilient to the effects of stress. So again, that's another reason why I put a lot of emphasis on nutrition and understanding how inflammation works in the body in our 90-day program.
So, how do we get in touch with you? How do we find your course? Hopefully, we can get some of the tea. Like I said, I want to be the first guy to actually order the tea because I'm a big tea drinker. I love tea. I love sweet tea or iced tea. Come from the South, so I love drinking a lot of tea every day without sugar, of course. But so, how do we get in touch with you? How do we find you? How do we support your mission?
So right now I have a landing page for the beverage. It's resilientaf.us. On there, you'll see opportunity to place pre-orders. So we are taking pre-orders right now. The other thing I'd like to say, Richard, about that is, given my background in agriculture, I forgot to mention to you that I worked with, in the state of Tennessee, folks, other veterans, and people from UT Extension to stand up a chapter of the Farmer Veteran Coalition, which is an organization that really helps veterans get into a successful enterprise in farming. It could be anything from raising chicken to bees, market gardens, cows, anything like that. And there's a lot of research that goes into how effective having your hands in the soil and doing farming practices can be very healing for the mental health. I believe it's also a great meaningful task of purpose for veterans to step into after service, because it gives you another opportunity to serve. You're probably you're going to be in that sort of entrepreneurial realm, inoculating your gut with healthy microbes all the time, working hard. So with that said, I just wanted to say that one of the goals with this tea is to launch as soon as possible a pretty big initiative to grow domestic tea in the United States. Almost all of the tea that is consumed in the United States is imported from places like China, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Venezuela. There's literally almost no tea farms in the United States. I looked it up and I was shocked how very few tea farms there are. And so that's one of the things that we'll be working on, is building tea processing plants regionally and creating regenerative agriculture tea farms to provide high quality domestic teas, and then use those high quality regenerative organic domestic teas for our beverages. So I just want to say that. So once we get this thing up and running, we'll be setting aside money to make that happen and looking for investment capital to aggressively go after that.
Well, whatever I can do to help support the mission, I'm in. You don't even have to ask. I'm in. Just let me know. Guys, I just want to let you guys know, as you can see up above on our website, we have our swag, we have our t-shirts, our books, our coffee. If you order anything from the website, 100% of the profits go to help veterans struggling with PTSD and homelessness. So if you order anything from our website, including books, t-shirts, swag, coffee, whatever, 100% of the profits are going to help veterans struggling today. And James, I just want to say, brother, I'm so grateful that we finally got together. It's been a while, and I'm truly humbled and grateful for your friendship.
Thanks, Richard. And before we go, I just wanted to say one other thing, because I didn't talk about the program, but if anybody's interested in the Sharpen Your Axe program, it's on the platform School, and you can find links to that at extremeresilience.net. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. So you can find by just searching Extreme Resilience on there as well.
And I'm following you everywhere. I'm stalking you everywhere. I just want to let you know that. And guys, as you know, I'm a big Joel Osteen guy, and I always use this quote at the end of every show is, today we get a choice to be a victor or a victim. And if you listen to this show, you are a victor of your present and your future. You're no longer a victim of your past. So, guys, thank you for always showing up in force. And remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is up. James, my brother, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I want to be the first to purchase the tea, all right?
All right, absolutely. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate having me on the show.
All right, brother. Be good.
Yep.